Hi, my name is Clive Rodrigues. I hail from Goa. I've been in Bangalore for the last 10.5 years now. Um, I head global talent acquisition and HR operations at LivSpace, which is a home interior and renovation platform, but does a lot more than that as well. Yes?
So, Clive, can you tell us two things that motivate you to go to work every day?
One is the founders. Honestly, when I started interacting with them, truly understood what they were trying to build and the passion that they have built it with. Extremely humble human beings, and truly motivates me to work. The second thing is that we're solving for a problem that the industry is not yet solved for. It's an unorganized sector where we're trying to go ahead and productize and standardize offerings across interior design. And it's a very different industry, lots of challenges, lots of opportunities and learnings, and that's something that I love pushing myself to do every day.
The challenges, opportunities, and learnings. I guess the hunger to grow never dies. So, moving on, can you describe a younger Clive in one sentence?
It can't be one sentence, unfortunately. So I'm a national level basketball player, state level football, volleyball, handball, table tennis. Athletes in totality at a university level. I jump long jump and several other things, 100 meters, 200 meters, 5,000 meters. Love sports basically more than life. Also spend time singing, participated in Boogie, though you'll not find anything ever. I lost. I wasn't part of this, I lost at the selection itself, at the initial selection. So it wasn't something that I did. And then I also drag raced for a time. So I was also a drag racer for some time. So very different professional. My hair will now tell you a little more of why it is the way it is.
Seems like you've had a pretty vibrant life. What about your academics?
Okay, so academic journey is actually very different from most professionals, hopefully. I am a BCom graduate. I've never done HR as a profession in terms of studying it. I have been a self-learner. I continue doing it the same way. I spend a lot of time researching, and I don't believe there's any better way to actually learn your job. So I'm not against academics. However, my journey has been very different and I did not require it.
A self-taught TA then. Since we're on a nostalgia trip, how well do you remember the first day at your first job?
My first day at my first job. So I worked with my brother to start my career. He has a web development company. I was doing this while I was in college, but I learned very early on. I think a lesson that I want to share here is that when I was young, I didn't have as much value for money. And I got a card from my parents on my 13th birthday which said, "You'll understand the value of every rupee when you earn it yourself." I took up the challenge, and from that day onwards, I started even by selling postcard-sized stickers, buying them at a wholesale rate of 4 rupees, selling them for 5 rupees, then to bracelets, 10 rupee bracelet for 15 rupees, then chain, 70 rupee chain for 150 rupees, to cell phones, walking around the beach and actually finding a lot of foreigners in Goa who, at that point in time, you had GSM 1, band 2 and 3, and you couldn't interchange. So I used to tell all the foreigners when they were leaving, saying that when you're leaving, sell me your phone. I will go ahead and buy it at a price that you would not get anywhere else. So hustled all my life. So for me, I don't see things that, as I said, you can't solve for something without actually going and understanding it deep. And you have to put in the hard work. The hard work is required always.
Wow, you've got a true hustler spirit. While you were on this journey, what's one thing you learned early on?
Tough one, because while I'm not trying to not be humble, the reality is that everyone makes what they have. And whatever journey you take, you'll reach where you need to reach. There's nothing that, if you wish you're doing something better, my perspective is that you're not happy and content. And as a human being, I'm happy and content.
I think this statement actually belongs on a t-shirt. On a more lighter note, what are 3 things your work backpack is incomplete without?
I always want to make sure that I have my earpods. I always want to make sure that I have my comb, specifically because of the hair, which I can't avoid. But the third thing that I have in my bag is basically a small contact list of good friends that I can catch up for a drink with.
So would it be safe to call this the Clive kit? What are some of the must-have skills for today's recruiters, Clive?
So, first of all, you got to come from ground up. It's very difficult when you just have, but not the reality. You need to be able to experience whatever you're actually talking about, evangelizing, sharing with your teams, trying to solve for. So, spending time on the ground, shadowing becomes really essential. Then you also want to make time to actually research a lot. At the end of the day, most people want to spend time on things that they don't know. The third thing is, I think, humility. At the end of the day, humility doesn't mean that you'll go and say yes sir and yes ma'am to everyone, smile at everyone. You still have a perspective. But at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that at some level, you respect other people's perspectives and opinions, right? Condescending those thoughts and opinions just doesn't help anyone. So you really want to make sure that you're not going ahead and doing that. So humility is something very important. I would also say that it's important to be smart, but being smart doesn't come from a fact that you know everything. It comes from a fact that you ask what you don't know. And that's very important because I'll give you an example. If you go to employees and tell them what are the problems they face versus you going to a leader and saying what are the problems you face, the leader will give you a perspective, but it may not be the reality. So when you go to the ground reality, it's a stark reality difference when you find out that employees have a very different perspective from what leadership believes should be that. And this is not in this organization specifically, I'm just saying across my career, I've seen this perspective.
Wow, that was quite an elaborate answer. So before we wrap up, what's one advice you'd like to give to aspiring TA leaders?
Don't underplay learning. Learning is very, very important. You do it throughout your career. You just don't realize you learn. You also learn how to walk. You learn how to breathe. Breathing happens naturally, but then you're actually spending time learning to walk. You're learning to write. You're learning to read. We underplay it so much, but fundamentally, if we spend time learning, that's success. And we have to spend time on actually being able to develop your skills. So you learn, and then you keep practicing and practicing and practicing. You'll fail 99 times, but the one time that you succeed is what will matter.
It was an absolute delight to have you here, Clive. Thank you so much. More such TA tales coming your way soon, so stay tuned.